we were just talking before we went on air about how your character was quite similar to Geert Wilder's, even though you didn't even recognise that. But I mean, obviously, like there's kind of a bit on the nose references, like obviously to Bergerac and John Nettles and all that kind of thing. But I'm wondering, when you were writing it, I mean, I suppose, was it just Bergerac was the kind of the jumping off point? I mean, was there any other kind of references or things that you were taking?
It was Bergerac crossed with $6 Million Man was our sort of pitch.
Sure.
That's how we imagined it. Originally, he was just a sort of Bergerac figure, and we were going, we need to give him a twist, and then we came up with the eye that can see the truth. It was actually a nose originally.
You could smell the truth.
You could smell the truth. But we didn't like the aesthetic of having to have him sniffing around all the film like that. And I think Julian thought he looked quite cool in an eye patch.
So it was literally Julian's kind of...
Yeah,
his
he went, I think you should have an eye patch. And he's right, he does look all right in one. But it was Bergerac and $6 Million Man and a number, I mean, Shoestring, and we watched a lot of The Saint. And
Knight Rider as well.
Yeah, Knight Rider. Yeah, there's a bit of Knight Rider in there.
Yeah.
And sort of actors, you know, there's a lot of actors. We listened to interviews with, you know, Trevor Eve and David Suchet, and we got a lot of his little manners, his little, like the shoes and stuff from listening to actors ramble on.
Yeah.
About their techniques.
Yeah.
But have they...
They have techniques.
I mean, have any of them seen it? I mean, has like Suchet or John Nettles?
No, it's interesting actually that. No, they don't seem to have any interest
they've written in
whatsoever.
saying, asking not to see it. But,
really, yeah?
No. They haven't. Well, I mean, we're not released yet.
Of course,
unless they'd come to one of the festivals we've been doing, they wouldn't have seen it anyway. So, but it'll be fun. I'm sure they got, you know...
the spirit
I mean, they've got senses of humour, of course. Yeah. I hope. I think they'll be fun.
We don't say anything bad about John Nettles.
No. If anything, we big him up.
If anything, we do him a credit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
so he owes us.
That's what I'm saying. You should get something out of it. But I'm just wondering, just for you, Sean, when you were directing it, I mean, was there a temptation to, I don't know, kind of make it look like, take from the aesthetic of that era? I mean, I know you're kind of doing it with the production design and obviously, you know, costumes and all the rest of it. Was there a temptation
we did what turned out to be quite a wise thing, was partly to sort of raise finance for the film, we had to make people understand what it was. Because a lot of people were reading the script and going, so it's sort of like Anchorman. It's sort of like, because it seemed quite farcical what happened. But it was always in our mind talking together, and certainly in mine, to sort of shoot it as realistically as possible. Although it's not hyper-realism. It's not like Ken Loach or anything. But I mean, you know,
it's grounded.
It's grounded, so you really feel like you're following these characters, and that helps the comedy as you go through the film, because it gets more and more ridiculous what happens to Richard Thorncroft, the character. You know, so. It was. So they were reading it and sort of going, it's very broad and Anchorman-y, and so we would. First of all, we wanted to sort of communicate it wasn't that, but in one of the fun bits of shooting that teaser was to look at the actual style of an 80s TV detective thing, and all the tropes and all the fun of that and the cliches of it and how it looked, and it was just such brilliant fun. And then when we got it on screen, it was still brilliant fun. But then we realised a little goes a long way.
Yeah.
You couldn't have like half an hour of that in a film. You just sort of, you get bored. Well, maybe you wouldn't get bored with it, but it'd be a joke. It's like a sort of, that's the one joke of that. But obviously we got a story to tell, so we had sort of just enough of that. I think we had just enough in the can actually from all the stuff we shot from the teaser, which we reused some of it again for the film, as well as shooting reshooting stuff. It was great to do. I mean, we all talk about. In fact, lots of people had seen the film and said, "Oh, wouldn't it be great to actually make Mindhorn?"
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was watching
to actually make the '80s version.
Yeah. I mean, when you were writing it, was your initial thought, okay, I'm going to write a feature-length episode of Mindhorn, or was it a case of, no, this story is...
It was...
afterwards.
Julian and I had were drawn to the 80s, to that genre of the sort of single maverick detective, and we found them sort of amusing and sort of hadn't really been done before. But we didn't want to do a parody like that's. We knew from the start we got to have a sort of twist on this. So that's where the actor came in, an actor who used to play those roles, because we're both fans of like Galaxy Quest and Tropic Thunder and Three Amigos, which uses that same device. So we just went, why don't we just do that with a 80s detective? And like Sean says, originally we lent on the parody, and we went, as long as we've got enough of this sprinkled throughout the film, people will laugh. Because we didn't know where we were going with the actor character. And then once we started really working on that character and getting his journey, we thought, people might sort of care about this guy and what he's up against, going back to the island. So then we could sort of have the parody, as Sean said, in dribs and drabs, and have Rip Thorncroft's journey.
It's just enough, really, so you have a lot of visual fun with it as well. But just enough so you get why this guy was famous. Yeah. What then happened to him? And as the film does, cut to 25 years later, and he's a totally washed up actor who people have utterly forgotten, and he gets this opportunity to sort of relive his glory days, as he sees it, and put himself back in the spotlight. And of course, everything unravels, and we find out that as so many people do, when they're on the up, they just discard the people who are actually very necessary for him. But he's sort of got rid of all his friends and his girlfriend and his, because he thought he was a big shot and he was going off to Hollywood. But guess what? He wasn't. Yeah.
Like you've done a lot of theatre work and stuff like that. Yeah. With theatre, like it's what happens on the night. That's it. That's what goes out and stuff like that. I mean, you rehearse and so on and so forth. Yeah. But with a film, you can take as many takes as you like. So I'm just wondering... Within budget, obviously, within budget. But I suppose my question is you as a writer, I mean, did you write just a setup and then allow people in it, or was it a case of no, this is very structured?
No, it was very. We spent about 8 years writing it. So it was a lot of work on structure.
3 days a year, though. I mean,
yeah, that's true. We did half a morning every 4 years. No, we did. It's a good question, but we had it pretty much nailed down. Well, the structure was very much there, and the scene was there. What Sean actually, when we got Sean on to direct it, he said we're gonna do rehearsals. Although we didn't actually.
We couldn't afford that many, but we did do some.
But we sort of workshopped the scenes, and then but on the day usually it was the scene is the scene, and you got the scene in the can, and if you had time, you could have a little mess about with it, and we did find a few other things that way, especially in the scenes with me and Julian, like in the garage and stuff, because we'd done that so many times. We knew the alternate lines and the different things that we wanted to do.
It's also, you had a very different, varied rather, sort of acting team. Yeah. The cast are from very, very different backgrounds. Now, so Simon and Julian work together a lot, and they're comedians and comic actors, and so that was great. You could get the camera rolling, and they'd come up with stuff, and some of it made the film, some of it didn't. But anyway, it was fantastic stuff they came up with. You do that to another actor. You say, well, now improvise with Simon, and they go, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? I don't want to do that. Yeah. What are the lines? Tell me the lines. So you have to.
David Schofield, who played the chief, was very funny because he was. Yeah.
You could see him getting angry.
He would get really irritated with Julian.
Julian would spin around on the lines, and he would wait until he'd finished.
He would go, what is my cue?
Are you finished? And go, then I'll do my line.
But in a way, sort of bizarrely good humor. Yeah. It was always good humoured, but there was this. So you can't really, and he can't actually, because in essence, comedy, feature film is structure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you can come up with the odd great line, and you can come up with, maybe a bit of physical business and stuff on the day, but you really have to know what you're doing. You have to sort of plan for it, and and particularly on the budget we were on, it wasn't like, okay, so take 87.
Yeah, just roll with it. Yeah.
3 or 4, love, and that's your lot. Then. So you had to kind of have it all thought through, really.
Yeah. Actually, on that, on the casting as well. I mean, it's like Andrew Riseborough and Simon Callows and all them. I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, did you consider maybe getting people from that era, like from the Bergerac era, and placing them into this, or was it a case of no, we've written this for this particular character? Was there any just on casting in general? I mean, did you write with any?
We did
voice in mind?
originally. Actually, we had John Nettles and Ian McShane. Were hung out with Windjammer, and
Brilliant.
were sort of part of a gang. There was a coterie of actors that we imagined hung out together on the Isle of Man in their dressing gowns and stuff. And we were really attracted to that. And then we realised that they probably wouldn't do it.
I think Ian McShane might. I mean, he seems to
He
rip the
would.
piss out of Lovejoy a lot.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the stumbling block would be. It'd be money.
Yeah.
But it would be because if it's a cameo, you can do that. You can
Yeah.
go, can you come for a day and play yourself and it'd be good humoured? And they go, yeah, you guys seem a bit of fun. Yeah, I'll do that. But if you're going, we need you for 8 days.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be in the background for most of it.
Yeah.
And that's the joke is that
You get a
just
cup
hang
of tea and a
out.
bun.
Yeah. And they'd go, no fucking way.
Yeah.
So
we
we sort of changed that, and then we went. It might get a little on the arch side, if we, because Julian's playing this character, and it might have got a little sort of too cameo-y,
Sure.
or like we're saying this is the world, whereas we're sort of doing a.
So, but in general, after kind of going, well, we want to play this
Fairly straight, like.
straight.
Yeah.
Play it realistically. So we were, in general, on the lookout for actors who could play it straight, but knew where the comedy was, and that's a whole other thing. I mean, some comedians aren't great actors, and some lots of actors can't do comedy. So you have to find the actors who can do comedy, and thankfully, obviously, the comedians that we had on it are great actors too. So that was where the sort of cutting edge was. That is just finding that those people like Essie Davis, who not really done much comedy before, but was fantastic at being that character and very funny as well. Russell Tovey is sort of very bizarrely, I think, quite touching in the film as well as being funny. So that was another choice. Harriet Walter, Dame Harriet Walter, fantastic, amazing, theatrical dame in the UK, and playing the agent superbly, very funny also. And then of course Kenny B, young Kenny B.
I wanted to run on to
Bran
that.
Flake.
The Bran Flake.
Where did he come from? That's all those.
Well, I think that was essentially how I got the job, because they sent me the script.
That's how Sean got the job.
And it was already written in that he meets Kenny B.
Yeah.
In this, and I said, well, luckily I know him.
Yeah, you're on a first name basis.
John said,
Yeah,
I can bring
worked
you
with him
Kenny
quite
B.
a lot.
Yeah.
So
And we went,
so
you're
I
on
said,
board.
I can
That's
get,
it.
I
Fuck
can
it,
get you
yours.
Kenny B.
John went, but I've never directed anything before on screen ever in my life. He went, doesn't matter. If you got Kenny B in
Give it a go.
your phone, give him a bell.
Did you actually you actually had written the Kenneth Branagh thing, and then
Yes, we had.
Oh
yeah.
fuck, right, okay. I thought
We had this audition scene with Kenneth Branagh, and we sort of hoped. I mean, you put in your sort of dream, and then you go, well, when Kenny says no, we'll move on to whoever,
else.
Patrick Stewart or an actor director. But Sean knew him and went, oh yeah, I'll do it.
And he's also great fun.
And
Exactly the
and
sort of
he's-
thing that,
Yeah.
that would be
He
right
would
up
do,
his street,
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I'm wondering. I mean, do you see a sequel coming out of it? I mean, obviously, the success of the film is a determinant factor. But I mean, could you see yourself coming back to it in a year or two?
I think, it is.
We were just chatting about it.
We were, yeah. We were
Plane
this
coming
morning.
over.
We were having some ideas about it. I think it'll. If it does well and there's a demand, we love the characters so much, and Julian loves Julian wants to write an album of songs. I think he's slowly becoming.
I think he
Richard
is.
I was going to say, is he going to do Richard Thorncroft album? Is he?
He is, yeah. He does want to, and he's
That rather worrying phrase, or very perceptive phrase of John Cleese's, is the You know, your greatest comic creation is the person you would have been if you didn't have a sense of humour. And perhaps Julian is Richard Thorncroft if he didn't have a sense of humour. Is that? Yeah. But it's just that's why he's so brilliant at playing that character.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we would. The trick is to the concept behind this, and the reason that he has to get into his outfit and go to the Iron Man is this sort of innocent figure that thinks that he's real.
Sure.
And that's hard to
replicate
again unless you have a kind of "it's happening again" sequel thing. Yeah. But we might be able to think of another way of sort of getting
the gang back together
through the hell of that.
It's just because I was thinking, I mean, I was flicking through Wikipedia and the Bergerac. Like, I mean, there were so many ridiculous episodes of it. Like, there was ones that were like inspired by fucking Hammer horror and stuff like this. Like, I mean, would you see something in that kind of ridiculousness? I mean, and was that an influence on the film? Like the kind of, you know, the dream episodes you'd see on TV. I mean, was that a part of the makeup? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like the ones in the Sweeney. Like the Sweeney had like a dream episode, wasn't it?
Did it?
Sweeney had a dream episode. Yeah. It was like the first thing. I think it was like the third season or something like that. And it was like John Thal got hit in the head.
It's basically, if you have to keep producing episodes, you kind of unfortunately run out of ideas. Or the next idea is, well, maybe it was all a dream.
Yeah. The Dallas thing.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant, of course, though all those programs we've mentioned are. But
we wanted a couple of those. Like we have a dream sequence in it, obviously, and we always wanted to do a karate fight,
like $6 Million Man.
Yeah. We watched $6 Million Man. There's a great scene where he's got it's Lee Majors, isn't it? And he's so serious in that role, and there is no humour in it.
None.
And yet. There's an episode where he fights the Yeti in a wood.
Yeah.
And
he starts pulling the Yeti's arm off.
Yes, he does. He pulls the Yeti's arm off and throws it.
Throws it at him.
Beats him with it.
And there's no humour.
And it's in slow motion as well. There's bits that are like it's quite, and then it goes into the capoeira mode. You know, it goes into slow mo, and you can see the scenery.
What's brilliant is that he's obviously, you know, even then as an actor, not particularly fit.
No.
Like,
Jesus, no.
They slow down this running, but the running is not very good.
No.
You know, and so that was kind of an inspiration.
Yeah.
It's because there was another episode as well. It was like the $7 Million Man. It was another middle-aged actor as well, and you could see like the gut kind of lolling as he was running. Like, okay, real quickly. Top 5 favourite films. Top 5 favourite films.
Top 5 favourite films.
Yeah.
Oh,
put you on the spot.
In order.
In whatever you like.
Okay.
Shoot 5 films at me.
Singing in the Rain.
With Snail and I.
Buster Keaton's Sherlock Jr.
Trust by Hal Hartley.
Some Like It Hot.
Have we really put you on the spot?
No.
I didn't come prepared for this.
It's just choosing. It's just.
I mean, you have to choose.
The Big Lebowski.
Impossible.
Yeah.
That's 3 I've got.
Yeah, I've got 3. I mean, I've got many more favourite
deciding.
films, but it's more like.
God, it's choosing.
You have to choose. I'm choosing from my favourite genres and filmmakers.
Okay. Well, let
me get one each from some of those.
I'm going to put Miller's Crossing in. There's probably 2 Coen brothers in.
Okay. Any more? Any ones that you watched when you were doing Mindhorn?
I'll tell you why it's a favourite film of mine. Airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, an Airplane.
I mean,
I would have
a
Airplane.
brilliant film.
Yeah.
Airplane was the one that actually I remember really thought I was going to die, like it'd be injured, and I was about 9 or something.
Yeah.
And I thought I was off the set on the carpet, and I thought I'm gonna actually die here. Something's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna have to go to hospital.
What was your favourite joke in Airplane?
I think I liked the one when when he bores the people into committing suicide.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Just
talking about his war stories.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
But I remember thinking that was so. I thought I'm not supposed to be watching this because a nun hung herself. Do you remember?
What?
He had flashbacks and he talked and he goes, I remember when I was in Korea.
That's really funny.
And when it comes back, the person he's talking to
it's just the feet hanging.
Kills himself because he's so boring.
And then there was
the feet are hanging of the nun. It was so sort of naughty.
completely
Yeah,
dead.
it's really
Yeah.
naughty. And I think Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
yeah.
yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Didn't expect
I'd have that pretty high up, actually, as well.
Okay, gotta
That's
leave
a
it
great,
there.
yeah,
That's a great
it's
film.
a great film with comedy and
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Both of those things in it.
There we go. Okay, getting the wrap up. Gotta leave it there. Thank you for that.
Hey, thanks.
Cheers, man.